This is Wigmore Castle. Like Clun, it was one of many built close to the England-Wales border, with one difference: it is a lot bigger than Clun. It was founded in 1067 by William Fitz-Osbern, relative and close counsellor to William the Conqueror, and known to have fought at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Fitz-Osbern was a very important character, it seems, being named Earl of Hereford, Earl of Gloucester, Earl of Worcester and Oxfordshire, even helping the king subjugate the land and taking temporary control as well of the kingdom in 1067, alongside the king's half-brother and Bishop Odo of Bayeux, until William's return in 1068. Fitz-Osbern was one of the major Norman castle builders, being responsible for the construction of Carisbrooke Castle on the island of Wight, Chepstow Castle, Clifford Castle, and many others, including this beautiful castle at Wigmore.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Wigmore Castle, and back to the adventure. Now this place is pretty impressive, not only for its size, but for the views that surround it, and for the nature of this place. It is simply stunning in every respect. But back when this place was first built, it's widely believed that it was initially constructed of timber. And this is because there's a lack of evidence surrounding its earlier period where there was no stone found anywhere to tell us that it was initially made out of stone, which is quite interesting. But sadly, William Fitz-Osbern died in 1071 at the Battle of Cassel whilst trying to secure control of Flanders through marriage. His son Roger, who would have inherited this castle and more, decided to take part in the revolt of the Earls in 1075. After they were swiftly defeated, King William seized the castle and all the lands and handed it over to another of his supporters, Ranulph de Mortimer. And from this time on, Wigmore Castle became the head of the barony of the Mortimers.
The Mortimers held this castle until the 15th century, having it rebuilt in stone in the 12th and early 13th century after surviving a siege in 1155 from Henry II, because Hugh de Mortimer refused to return Bridgenorth Castle to the Crown. Further work was carried out on the castle, particularly on the curtain walls surrounding the bailey. The work followed the royal money given to the Mortimers for the castle's garrisoning. Then, in the latter half of the 13th century and early 14th century, the castle was once again the subject of extensive works when it was first held by Roger Mortimer. The walls were raised, the gatehouse was remodelled, as well as other buildings being constructed in the Inner Bailey, up until 1282, where control was handed over eventually to Roger Mortimer, 1st Earl of March, son of Edmund Mortimer, in 1304.
After Roger's succession, he strengthened his position in the Mortimer family considerably, acquiring Ludlow and many other lands through marriage. In 1325, Roger became the lover of Edward II's queen, Isabella of France. Now when Edward II died in 1327, because of being Isabella's lover, Roger became the effective stepfather of Edward III, and the most important man in the kingdom. So much so that in 1328, when he held a tournament near Wigmore, it was attended by the young king himself, and almost all of the magnates of England. In 1330, King Edward executed Roger Mortimer. Then in 1332, he spent several weeks at Wigmore during the summer. But King Edward's control would only last until 1342, when Mortimer's grandson, another Roger Mortimer, regained control of his father's castle and all of his lands. But following this Roger Mortimer's death in 1398, the male line of Mortimers soon ran dry in 1424, where the castle was passed to Richard Plantagenet, 3rd Duke of York, through his mother, Anne Mortimer, sister of the last of the Roger Mortimers. Now it was believed that by 1425 this place was derelict, but archaeological excavations show that this place was still active during the 15th century, and it's believed to have been active through Richard's son, Edward, Earl of March, who was based here before his victory at the Battle of Mortimer's Cross in 1461, whereafter he deposed Henry VI and became King Edward IV that year.
Throughout the 16th century, the castle was managed by the Council of the Marches, being partly used as a prison, even though the castle was beginning to decay. Eventually, though, Queen Elizabeth I sold Wigmore Castle to Thomas Harley of Brampton Bryan. The castle, however, would soon come under attack by Royalists during the English Civil War. The parliamentarians wouldn't be able to defend the castle, so Lady Brilliana Harley had the castle's defences demolished so it wouldn't be used against them. However, the Harleys would later fail to defend their home as well at Brampton Bryan.
After the dust of the Civil War had settled, all that remained was a ruined castle. And this place remained in private hands during the 19th and into the early 20th century, until 1995, when this place came into the guardianship of English Heritage, who did carry out some small conservation work and small-scale excavations, while still letting this place retain some of its semi-wild state. This was because it was home to a rare and unusual species of bat, as well as a lot of rare wildflowers. So even though all that does remain here are ruined walls and gatehouses of a once proud castle, it still protects something important indeed. Now that's it for this adventure. It's sad that we can't get to the keep. That's because the wooden supported stairs are not safe and it's all overgrown and old. But this place is still beautiful. Wildlife, plants, and a wonderful castle are part of our history and our heritage for everyone to come and see. And I think it's a good idea for you guys to come see this and enjoy what still remains here. But for me, time to move on to the next adventure. Thanks for being with me. See you later.